Welcome to Reimagining Abilities, our podcast telling some of the stories of the individuals we support. CQL actually stands for Center for Quality and Leadership. It's a national organization that accredits organizations like the Charles Lee Center for people who receive services with disabilities. It's a private organization that has established a set of practices and guidelines based on evidence-based practices and from material and resources that they have obtained from throughout the United States. And they set a whole bunch of standards that if an organization is looking to get accredited, they would have to meet. But those standards are based on a series of evidence-based things that are going on throughout the United States that other organizations are doing as well. Yes, it's a voluntary process, so organizations can choose to get accredited or not. And we chose to do so because we believe that we want to make sure that we are providing services based on some national benchmark requirements. But their focus is really looking at the way the services are delivered, really paying a lot of attention to rights issues around disabilities, making sure that people are actually achieving their outcomes and their dreams and their goals, and most importantly, that that the services are driven by the person, and that's hence the person-centered approach to services and what they advocate for. That really, it's driven by their needs, by their wants, and they are full participants in the process, but also have a lot more input and control over their lives that way. Well, of course, one of the things they had to look at was all of our policies and procedures. They had to make sure that we were following our policies and procedures. They interviewed a number of our individuals, asked them about how services were being provided. They interviewed our employees about the culture of the organization. They looked at obviously human rights issues, grievances, any abuse and neglect issues, safety, financial areas. So they were covering the whole gamut of both administrative as well as programmatic requirements, and then they based their assessment off those reviews and tied them to their standards. You apply, then you get a contract that you then agree to. Then they send you a whole list of things they want you to send to them ahead of time, which includes policies, our mission statement, our values, our financial statements, any reports that we might have, and then they come here for about a week. In this case, we did a kind of a hybrid, partially remote, but also we had 2 reviewers who were on site for the week, and they spend most of their time what they call validating what we say we're doing by actually observing, visiting homes, talking to people, interviewing, reviewing documentation, and so it's and then having what we call forums or group meetings with different parts of the organization to kind of go through standards and how we respond to those standards through questions and answers. I mean, we've been preparing for this for over 6 months now, just getting everything together and ready, and it's really an ongoing process because they come back like every 18 months to see the progress that we're making on some of these standards. And so yeah, it's a pretty involved process, but it gives us a pretty good idea of where we stand in relationship to what's considered national best practices, and so it gives us a good benchmark. We actually got designation 3 years ago for quality assurance. In other words, meaning that our services are we provide really quality services in our programs. And then the next step was to then move into what they call person-centered excellence, and that's the accreditation that we got this time. In order to get the person-centered excellence, you have to meet all the accreditation requirements which we did. And so as a result of that, we were able to move from the quality assurance now to the person-centered excellence accreditation. So we're really excited about that. That was not something we really necessarily expected was going to happen, but we made such big progress over the last 3 years that they have immediately moved us into this new category of accreditation. So it was really exciting to see that. It's very humbling. I mean, I always think that we are doing the right thing and that we are in the right direction. And this accreditation process allows us to really get a good understanding of what where we're at and what we're doing, because they really look at it from the person's perspective. So it's not a compliance-driven process. And so when we get this kind of feedback, it's just like I'm awestruck. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I always try to tell people is we're not here to take care of people. We're here to support people. And the distinction is pretty significant, because really what we're trying to do is to support people where they want to live, work, and play. And so what we want to be able to do is, obviously there's training and there's education, but there's also the whole idea of how do we set things up in a way that we're supporting them where they want to live, where they want to work, where they want to spend their day. And for each person, that's unique and very different. And I think for us, we kind of think of it in our world. I would not want to be in a place where I get treated the same as everybody else, and I'm kind of lumped in with everybody. I see myself as a unique person and would like to do things that I like to do. And that's absolutely no different for the people we support. They sometimes don't have the voice to do so we become their voice for that. But I think, from a kind of a philosophical point of view, I think that's what we are looking for everybody. Everybody wants to be able to live the American dream, as they say, and that's no different for the people we support. It's just that their dreams may be a little bit different than some of ours, and that's okay. But it becomes our job then to figure out a way to make that happen for them. So I think, from the person-centered model that's out there, I think it's unique in the way that that it requires you to think about people in a different way. And I think that's not always easy to do if you come from more of a traditional mindset of, well, we're just here to take care of people. And we've always come from the attitude that, well, that's not really that's part of it, but that's not our goal. Our goal is really to help people to thrive and live the lives that they want to live. Yeah. So I just want to, this effort is being done by the entire Charles Lee family here in South Carolina, North Carolina, as well as in Tennessee, and we would not be able to accomplish any of this if it weren't for the great work that everyone does every day. So this is a reflection on everybody at the Charles Lee Center, and it requires a lot of people to create the culture that we have, and that was very evident through this review process. And so it's really heartwarming to see how this got accomplished with the help of everybody. So we're very thankful for that. If you want to support us, you can contact us at our website, www.charleslee.org.